What's going on? Hino, first one in. What's going on, man? Okay, I'm gonna wait just a bit. See how things go. Also, don't even know if you guys can hear me yet. What's going on? Alright. Anton, you made it. The guy who asked for the stream. Made it. Cool. Brian Curtis, how you doing? We're gonna be getting into a couple of topics here because something was said here that reminded me of a little piece of lore, and I don't know. I think it's exciting. I haven't read through every single thing. I'm not like super refreshed on this, so I'll be refreshing it as I'm reading to you guys about what I got here for us today. So it should be pretty interesting, though. It should be pretty interesting. But how are you guys liking all of these leaks, though? These are kind of intense. Tabata has this way with just making a chapter that might not be action packed, but ends up being super pivotal to the story. Dude, this guy is on one. So let's just start at the BC spoilers hashtag, so you can see what people are talking about. But do you guys think Yami did it? I personally don't think he did. There's so much evidence, against Yami doing something like that. And if he did, I'm sure he had a very legit purpose. I don't think he just outright killed his family because that's who he is. So I'm personally of the thought that Ryu, posed as him, for now at least. Ryu somehow posed as him, and then, and for whatever reason, who knows, and then killed Yami's family, and possibly making it so that they had to send Yami away, exiling him. Why they wouldn't just put him to death, I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to kill kids. Who knows? But exciting chapter. I love the information. Okay, we got enough people in here. So I guess I'll just get straight into this. Okay, so there's a panel where Asta, I don't know if it'll be shown in here, but Asta's thinking about all of the Ryuzen that he just battled. Oh my goodness. Little baby Ichika. And she's literally in the Uchiha they're where they live. That looks almost like it. That's funny. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. I like this. This is a really cool shot of Yami too, by the way. His the prior things earlier in the series of him as a kid didn't look that great. But yeah. This answers a whole lot. From a lot of this stuff earlier on in this channel too, where it's Yami's never mentioned a mom or dad or anything. And this is probably why. Okay, but there's a panel where Asta's laying on the ground and he's thinking about how those few from the Ryuzen 7 whooped his ass, really. And he's wondering what everyone's doing back in the Four Kingdoms. And then he makes a mention that the sky in the land of the sun is so cloudy. Now, it doesn't make any sense for Hino country literally being the land of the sun to have a cloudy sky, right? And that might be such minimal information, and I could very well be reaching here. But this did trigger some lore in the very back of my brain. The very little Japanese lore I do know. Also, this was crazy too. We got a little Charmy. I don't know if that's a gravestone or what, but there's a big emphasis on Charmy in this country, and that's also crazy. Okay, let's get into the first part of this, okay? So, there's something called Ungaikyo, And I don't know if you guys remembered, but the first thing I thought of when Ryu came into the story was that this eye could be like a mirror eye, like Gauch's, right? And so we have Ungaikyo, excuse me, which is the mirror beyond the clouds. And it's a yokai in Japanese mythology. So here it says the Ungaikyo is the tsukumogami that is in the form of a possessed mirror. They can manipulate the reflection to resemble what they prefer. Any humans who looks into the Ungaikyo sees a transformed, monstrous version of themselves in the reflection. It has also been used by humans to trap spirits in them. So this was what I ended up thinking of, right? And then it takes mention of the tsukumogami, and we'll read about that. Now this one's a bit longer. I'm going to try and skim through it for the more important things in this. But as mentioned, this is part of the Ungaikyo. And this actually ends up putting a lot of weight into the story, especially when it comes to Asta's swords, okay? So, it says, in Japanese folklore, tsukumogami are tools that have acquired a kami, or a spirit. According to an annotated version of the Tales of Issei, titled Issei Monogatari Show, there is a theory originally from the Onmyoki, I've never heard of that one, that foxes and tanuki, among other beings that have lived for at least 100 years in changed forms, are considered tsukumogami. In modern times, the term can also be written, it says it's literally 99 kami, or 99 spirits or 99 gods, to emphasize the agedness. According to Komatsu Kazuhiko, the idea of a tsukumogami, or a yokai of tools, spread mostly in Japanese Middle Ages and declined in more recent generations. Komatsu infers that despite the depictions in Bakumatsu period, ukiyo-e, that art leading to a resurfacing of the idea, these were all produced in an era cut off from any actual belief in the idea of tsukumogami. Because the term has been applied to several different concepts in Japanese folklore, there remains some confusion as to what the term actually means. Today, the term is generally understood to be applied to virtually any object that has reached its 100th birthday and thus become alive and self-aware. Though this definition is not without controversy. So, this, I think, is pretty important, right? Because we have yokai of tools specifically. And these are tools that have acquired a spirit after reaching this 100-year mark, right? So, I don't think this really plays 100% into what we're seeing. However, I do think it does have some weight in what we're seeing. Because then we go back to instances like seeing Asta go through his Devil Union forms for the first time. And I say forms because still a lot of us don't actually realize that Asta, every time he touches a sword in Devil Union, his actual form changes, right? So using this piece of lore that we have for the yokai of tools, he could be tapping into these spirits inside of the swords, or that have acquired the kami or the spirit needed for this to happen. This also brings up something just like off the top of my head. So we have the magic stones, which still have not been explained. If we use this and say that after a certain amount of time, these stones gain sentience, okay? And the suggestion here is that maybe not one of the magic stones that we were introduced to at least, but let's say that Ryu's eye falls under the classification of one of those stones. He could be the thing that resulted in it gaining sentience. Or he could just be a straight up yokai. Now we're going to get into Ryu specifically. I'm not going to go through the history and etymology right now. Maybe I'll circle back around to it. But there's a more direct link to Ryu that I would like to bring to you guys. And I know that it's late for some of us. and I would hate for you guys to have to wait like super long to get into the information. But here we go. This is literally, this is ryuo, and the translation is Dragon King. So it talks about the appearance and what they're here for. So I'll just read it to you like I read the other two articles to you guys. So the appearance, ryuo are dragon kings from Buddhist cosmology who gave up their evil ways and have dedicated their lives to helping humans reach spiritual enlightenment. Although ryuo are dragons, they are usually depicted in human form or in a hybrid human-serpent form rather than in a traditional dragon form. The most famous ryuo are the Achidai ryuo, which are the 8 dragon kings who were present when the Buddha gave the Lotus Sutra and converted to Buddhism. Now this is going to talk about the behavior. Ryuo are powerful, fearsome dragons with connections to water and the power to control rain. Now again, Asta's observing how cloudy things are. And these ryuo have the power to control rain. Just very interesting coincidences so far. In return for renouncing evil and following the Buddha, they have been set free from the torments that plague other dragons, such as being preyed upon by Karura. Now, we might have to look that up. I didn't know dragons were being preyed on. They live in great underwater palaces where they collect treasures, especially Buddhist relics and texts. They have godlike powers and are worshipped by farmers, fishers, and others who rely on water for their livelihood. I mean, a lot of that stuff is pretty relevant to the information that we do have now. Okay, now we're getting into the origin of the ryuo. Japanese dragons are a complex mixture of several cultural traditions. Ryuo are based on the Nagaraja, snake kings of Indian mythology, which were adapted into Buddhism. As Buddhism spread from India into East Asia, India's Naga merged with China's Long, which is the very long serpentine dragon that you see, and absorbed many aspects of Chinese folklore and religion. In Japan, they further mixed with existing Japanese snake and dragon cults. Due to centuries of religious syncretism, dragons with Chinese or Indian origins and those with Japanese origins can be difficult to distinguish. Some came to be viewed as different incarnations of the same being. However, there are also many Shinto and Buddhist dragons which resemble one another yet are considered to be separate individuals. Now, that whole thing where it's hard to distinguish things because they could be, a separate being or a separate being but the same is everything that we talk about, especially when talking about beings like Beelzebub. Legends, by the way, that's my phone vibrating. It's not me farting. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it definitely sounds like farting. Anyway, legends of the ryuo. 8 ryuo were present when Buddha delivered the lotus, along with several other supernatural beings, including Ten, Yasha, Kindatsuba, Ashura, Karura, Kinara, and Magaraka. Now, this is very interesting. These are definitely names of other dragons, and I know that because I know Kinara, Ashura. Interesting. Okay. Together with the Ryu, these 8 races are known as the Achibushu, the 8 legions. They were so impressed by Buddhist teachings that they converted, pledging themselves to be guardians of Buddhism. While they have the appearance and ferocity of demons, they are actually benevolent warrior gods. So, this is also really cool in the way that in all these last streams too, we've been talking about how Asta might reach enlightenment when training with the Ryus in 7 and Ryu himself. And how important that is to the next step, as Asta is super doubtful in his ability, and whether or not he can end this whole Lucius endeavor or not. So, I want to see what these are. Okay. So these seem to be, these are just the various legends of these Ryuo, excuse me here. I don't know if I should read through all of them. Maybe I will. It's not too long. Okay. So here they're talking about a ryuo named Nanda. It's the highest ranking of the Dragon Kings. He's the older brother of Batsunanda. These brothers are both highly revered as gods of the winds and rains. They are the target of worship in the ooh, my goodness, what does that say? Shoukyoho. Yeah, I'm not going to say that again. A Buddhist prayer for rain and for protection from floods and other natural disasters. Interesting. Then we have the Shigara, which is, I guess, ocean, literally, is the dragon king of all the ocean. He lives in a great palace at the bottom of the sea called Ryugu. He is the father of Zenyo Ryuo, a benevolent dragon goddess of rainmaking who appears in several Buddhist legends. How cool would it be if Noelle somehow related to, like, a dragon person? Like, that'd be kind of cool. Sea dragons roar, and we have the underwater temple, too, with what they're saying. It's pretty cool, but we do have, like, Norse mythos to balance out, too. So, it's just kind of hard to say where Tabata is going to go with this exactly, and if these things will just end up being syncretized into the devils that we know. Since, again, dragons can be either angels or devils. But very interesting nonetheless. Then we have Washu Kitsu. It translates to many heads. Is a many-headed dragon who is associated with Kuzuryu, a nine-headed Japanese serpent god. In Indian mythology, he used his long body like a rope to help the gods churn the cosmic ocean of milk. Wow, I've never heard of a cosmic ocean of milk. That's cool. Sucks for lactose intolerant gods, though. That's for sure. This produced a number of fantastic substances, including the nectar of immortality, which the gods drink in order to maintain their long lives and wisdom. Then we have Tokushaka, which translates to the poisonous gaze. This one possesses a deadly poison, obviously. He can kill a person simply by staring at them. Although he uses this power to fight evil spirits rather than hurt people, he is the father of Kishoten, a goddess of happiness, fertility, and beauty. Now, this would be a cool application to give Ryu. Who knows how far that eye can go. Then we have Anabadata, or Hakuna Matata. It means heat-free. This is the most virtuous of all the dragon kinds. He is a god of cool, clear water who lives in a lake in the north of the Himalayas. He provides the land with clean water from the top of the world by sending it down the four great rivers. Very interesting. We got two more. Minashi, which translates to a large body, it's a big dragon with a strong sense of compassion. When the Ashura attacked the Emperor of Heaven's palace with seawater, he used his large body to push the water back into the sea. Cool. You just have a really fat dragon. And then lastly, we have Uhatsura, which is the blue lotus, who lives in a beautiful pond where blue lotus flowers bloom. He observes all of the deities of the land and helps them regulate the rains and winds in order to bring about good harvests. Wow, that one sounds probably the most alike Ryu, to be honest with you guys. Not saying that he has anything to do with like a blue lotus. However, to regulate winds in order to bring about good harvests, the Nomo potatoes probably need a pretty decent harvest, right? For that sort of stuff. So I'm curious to look at Uhatsura. But let's see what else we have. Let me see what you guys are thinking so far with what's been said. So we've gone through the Ungaikyo, the Tsukumogami, and then the Ryuo. Excuse me. Very hard to say. Bruce, what's going on? Kardik, what if Ryu sent Yami following the orders from Lucius? Maybe, but I don't know. It's very hard to say, especially since Lucius didn't seem to care about Yami and when he left. So I don't know. I believe Yami got framed too. Or he did it for a good purpose. Imagine Charmy some reincarnation of a goddess. Yeah, right? That'd be crazy. I have a video that I'll probably just record once I'm done with this. That's going to talk about a different application of Zetten that it might make you think twice about like what's been happening in the series. Has a lot to do with Asta Liebe, a lot to do with Lucius Julius, a lot to do with Noct Morgan. If you guys don't see the trend there, then you might just have to really wait for that video. But I don't want to say too much, but yeah, I think you guys will like it. It's also going to talk about the devil power system, based off of what we saw in the Four Kingdoms, what we see now in Hino country. Kind of got me to a place where the devil power system might be a lot clearer now than it was before. He looks Yami bodied an entire clan at 13. Doesn't seem likely. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of talent, and we also don't quite know like the development of people in general in Hino country either. So like we know when mages hit, I think it's 14 or 15. I think it's 15. They get their grimoires. That could be different in Hino country. Or it might not be. I don't know. But I also... Actually, did Yami have a scroll in that picture? That's really what I'm most curious about, is like why Yami didn't come with a scroll. Maybe he was too young, simply too young for a scroll. Doesn't look like he did, though. We also don't see where Ichika keeps her scroll either, so it's a bit hard to distinguish. Okay. Yeah, that's a little tough. Because I don't think we've seen... Yeah, she doesn't have like a scroll holder or anything. So I wonder where they go when they're not being used. Interesting. Okay. And still no clear shot of Asta's grimoire, which has been bugging me for a while. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Itachi was around the same age when he did the same thing, though he had help, right. It'd be cool if Ryuzen with the mask has somehow tied the anime canon devil banishes. Were they wearing those masks too? I don't watch anime, guys, so I really don't know anything about that. But that'd be really cool. I really like seeing the Oni mask. Ooh, that looked like hentai. We dodged the bullet, guys. We dodged the bullet. But yeah, seeing the Oni mask was super cool. I like that. And I bet from Asta's breakdown that he was probably the one outputting his Zetten out of 10 in a bunch of 2s. I bet he's a very fast and methodical fighter. Lazy. It's weird to me that Ichika didn't react to seeing Asta being in possession of Yami's katana, since the hilt is the same symbol as Ryu's eye patch. Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be weird, but then again, I don't think it's too big of a jump to say or assume that all of their katanas are more or less the same. So, I don't know. That's just something we don't have quite enough information on. But it would have probably been nice for someone to make a comment. We don't know if they did or not in this chapter. We might just be missing those pages. But for someone to have made a comment that he has a katana would be nice. We had gold in here. What's going on, dude? Okay. So let's see what the people are saying. And I still have a ton more to read about tsukumogami. Tsukumogami, if you guys would like me to read that to you. But just let me know. I hate to bore you guys with that sort of stuff. Okay. We got... What is she saying? I don't think I've seen these pages yet. So she's saying, stop talking about Yami. Okay. Yep. Scum, blah, blah, blah. Great. He killed our family. Sounds good. Okay, okay. Is that a real thing in the anime? Buddha Charmy? Dude, Charmy's everywhere. Good lord. Okay. Anything? Nothing else like super big happened in this chapter, but that whole cloud comment had me fucked up. Like that's a little sus, and it's on Ryu. But yeah, we also have to remember like when the bandits attacked, like we're talking this guy's the Shogun, and we went through on a stream talking about the hierarchy of like the Shogun and the Shogunate, all that stuff. And Ryu runs the country, and not one citizen showed how grateful they were that he was in their presence. The bandit didn't even know who he was. He literally says, "Who are you?" Like that's so crazy that no one seems to know who's running the country. Now that could be reflective of like the esoteric, like the Western esoteric system, where the leader is unknown to the many, but known to the very few that is concerned with those matters. And they call that person the Ipsissimus or the Silver Star. So it's definitely interesting, to say the least. Yami's backstory is a lot. He didn't give any backstory. He hasn't lied about anything, to be honest with you guys. Like, even if he did do it, he can't be framed as a liar because no one approached Yami's like, hey, you never talk about your family. Did you kill them all? Like, what an insane jump that would be, right? So I don't think. Oh, someone's got a. Oh, this is a follower actually. Let's see what you got to say, Josh. So Yami and William were the goats who sacrificed for forgiveness of sins and atonement of Araran humanity. William was forgiven for his sins, betrayed CK. Who's that? Oh, Clover Kingdom. And Yami atoned and was blamed for killing his own clan. Thus Yami was given a devil's heart, making him the scapegoat. Okay, I get what that's saying. The only part I take issue with is this. So the heart is something that only Yami has. There's no comment made about William that we know of that says that he has this heart as well. Now, I love the theory because the scapegoat is a real thing. That saying is a thing that comes from religion. He actually puts it here. Very well versed, friend. So here it's explaining how they literally put the sins into these goats, and then they let them out into the desert to run loose. So they're carrying all the sins. These are scapegoats, what are now just a saying now. But here it says, Aaron, or Aaron, shall offer the bull as a sin offering for himself, and shall make atonement for himself and for his house. He shall take the 2 goats and set them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And Aaron shall cast lots on the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord and the other lot for Azazel. Now, for those, Azazel might be recognizable as a demonic name, which it is, but Azazel is not a bad demon. Azazel is actually a guardian who wards off other demons to protect humans. Aaron shall present the goat on which the lot fell for the Lord and offer it as a sin offering. So again, putting all the sins onto the goat, making it the scapegoat of the sins. So then they offer it as a sin offering, but the goat on which the lot fell for Azazel shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement over it, that it may be sent away into the wilderness to Azazel. Azazel also is mentioned when Lilith, Nama, and I believe Beelzebub, but under the guise of Samael, were completely exiled from not only the Garden of Eden, but heaven as well. So, actually very cool take there. Very cool. Good for Josh. What are we saying here? Okay. I'm never boring. I don't know. I can definitely get boring, dude. But thank you. Soul, it's gonna be he did it by accident or something, and now it was a different mask. Okay. Man, if he killed his family by accident, that'd be crazy. It'd be kind of cool because I did think about it, where like, if it were to be like a circumstance like Noct, where he did accidentally kill his family, but it was, of course, on purpose in a way because he meant to summon Lucifergus. He just didn't understand what that was going to mean ultimately. So this could very well be something similar, which would also give sense as to why Yami took to Morgan and Noct to begin with. Joshua Martinez, is this you? The one that we just read here? And if it is, good post. Oh, dude, this is so cringe. Worst post I've seen yet. Cringe. Sukehiro Uchi. Oh god. Anything for clickbait, you guys. Anything for clickbait. What is she saying here? She looks so sad. Or just like melancholic? Is that a word? Okay. Says, I don't like you, but for his sake, I'll deal with you. She's kind of rude. Why does she not like Asta? What has he done? Okay. And this very person is telling me to train you. That's the extent I trust him. Okay. Not only because he's Shogun, but also because he saved me. I owe him a lot. Saved you from what? From Yami? No. See, again, he did not we'll go to TCB. I'm not going to go to Viz to look at that chapter, but we're going to go to TCB real quick. Because as soon as Yami was mentioned, there was no cringe, there was no like, oh yeah, that guy. Oof. None of that. He was like, oh yeah, the guy who shits a lot. Like he didn't there's nothing. That was the opportune time to like start mentioning it, but no. We'll view all chapters. What was that? Maybe like okay. 338 sounds right. Oh, nope, that's not the right one. It's the previous chapter. We'll look at that real quick. Like, am I crazy? If like is anything I'm saying just not sound right? Okay. Yeah. The mid bulls, whatever. No, I'm just kidding. This emphasis on you know what? It's kind of okay. So like traditionally there are a lot of like Buddha like statues and statuettes and like piggy banks, just a ton of stuff, like fountains and stuff. I wonder if like this Buddha-ish person is like this charming that they're almost idolizing. And they just idolize it in so many different forms. You know, does that make sense? That'd be really crazy. For Yami to come in. Dude, Kwan's days are numbered, by the way. If Yami becomes like this crazy ass character, we're gonna ratio his entire existence. Let's just say that. Okay. So here's another thing that I already pointed out on Twitter. He does notice Ki. It's not hostile. But he says he's known Yami since childhood, right? And he said their Ki is actually kind of similar, which I don't like, right? As like a detective for the series, I don't like this because they do distinctly say that Ki from person to person is very unique, and it would make more sense if he offered this comment to Ichika, but he didn't. Okay, so for someone that is not even a blood relative to have similar Ki to Yami is pretty alarming. And I think it really does go back to this tsukumogami idea that we're getting, or this ungaikyo, where he could be a spirit that's manifested in a way that is akin to Yami, while also not being Yami himself. So maybe we'll give the rest of that article like a read through before we go. But man, I didn't want it to happen. I'll be honest. I did not want Ryu to be like a bad guy, and he might not be a bad guy. But remember from the description of like the ryuo that these are beings that abandon their evil ways to serve the ideals of Buddha and enlightenment and help humans reach that goal. So this very well could have been an old version of Ryu here, but then changed his ways and now is a more stable force, but still kind of messed up that Yami's got to carry that stigma, in Hino country. That really sucks. But yeah, let me see what you guys are saying here, and then I'll go back to that article and I'll read the rest that I think matters. Okay, let's see. Soul, you think it'll be like Yami went sailing and got lost, and his family went to look for him and died. Wait, what do you mean? I'm confused. Oh, because you think it'll be... Oh, okay. So you don't think it's like he actively like used a katana and killed them, or his dark magic accidentally awakened or anything like that? Like they all died on that fishing endeavor, is what you think. Okay. That would actually make a bit of sense there. Because he was telling Ichika to like, what, stand back or something? Or hang on tight or something like that. Which is also kind of weird. Because he's obviously going on what we would assume would be his last venture as a fisherman. I just need to find that panel to see what he says. And people are just posting the same panels. I'm going crazy. This is really just peak writing to me. Really like this. Oh, it's the hentai stuff. Okay. Missed it. Thank God for lag, am I right? Here we go. Oh, stay close. Oh. I wonder if that'll change. Stay close. Huh. Okay. But I see what you're saying, Gold. I see what you're saying. Quizzer, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. I don't see another comment of yours. What do you think the balls are that appear behind certain people? So, Buddha has those too. And I think that's signs that they are heading, that they've either reached or have reached just a bit under the level of enlightenment. But yeah, that's depicted behind Buddha as well, and behind Raijin and more godlike figures. So I think that's what it does symbolize. She definitely rooted me into Asta. And Asta is so nice, and she's just like absurdly rude to him. I bet it just has mostly to do with him, having interacted and being pretty much raised by Yami. She's probably just taking out that anger on him, which kind of sucks, but whatever. She probably gets reminded of... Oh, Hino just said it. Okay. Lazy. Asta mentions that Ryu, Ichika, and Yami all have similar ki. Don't think that's a coincidence. It was mentioned. Oh, yeah, he says about... Oh, wait, he did say it about Ichika, didn't he? But yeah, it shouldn't have been mentioned with Ryu. So that's the crazier part. Kino, I think, in general, his connection to Yami bothers her. Yeah. Charmy is a descendant of some important characters. Yeah, she probably is. Asa does tell Ishika the three of them have similar ki. Cool. Good. Helix. Future Yami becomes distorted from his dark magic and goes back in time, and he looks so different that he's the foreigner that led to the stigma of them being bad omens. Interesting. Okay. That's a long shot, but I like it. Because, if I'm not mistaken, he's got a patch of white hair now since the advent of clip art. So, maybe. I I try to stay away from like the time theories for so much. Because like massive jumps in time have not been canonized, not yet, and that is extremely tough to write accurately too. Because the entire series could fall apart if the time stuff isn't done correctly and accurately. So I try to stay away from them just because I'm assuming it is too difficult to write that sort of stuff in. But obviously Tabata is really good at making these plans. He's had some like full court shots, stuff he hasn't mentioned since like the beginning of the series are coming to light, you know, in later chapters. So could be. Sun Jinwoo, she's the daughter of the legendary guy that split the heaven. So you think Yami is also the son of that guy? Okay. Gold. I'm not thinking he militia. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yami definitely had to have some type of purpose if he did do it on purpose. But I could be with you. It was not like an accidental thing. So first it was William, and then Julius, and now Yami, right? Asta, everybody around him seems to be sus. I almost said traitor. I think it's too soon to call Yami a traitor right now, but I think it's absolutely possible. But it wouldn't make a ton of sense with the writing, right? Because like one of my favorite moments earlier in the series was it actually might have been like my first big banger tweet, like back when I first started Twitter. That Vettel, he prayed for that kid. He went back to the seabed temple, or not the seabed temple, but like the game room or whatever, and without anyone having to be with him, like Asta caught up to him by accident. So it just doesn't scream someone who would cold-heartedly do something like that. And you know, people do change over time. So maybe he was like a crazy kid, but then ended up mellowing out towards his later years or after being found by Julius, you know? Who knows? Okay. So let's go back to the tsukumogami thing. I think this is so interesting how they're the yokai of tools specifically. So, you know, it could give us all the answers to how we got these swords, you know, what's so special behind them and all that. So let's just read about it, see where it takes us. So this is the history and etymology. If you don't know what etymology is, it just means the meaning behind the name. Okay, so the word, let's see if I can read. Oh, it's just tsukumogami. Okay. That's tsukumo and then gami. Interesting kanji for that, okay. So it appeared in a waka poem. I don't know what a waka is. It's a type of poetry in classical Japanese. Okay. In the 9th century, the Tales of Ise, section 63 of the poem. It's a compound I'm just trying to read the Japanese, and it has the actual Romaji there. Okay. Tsukumo, of unknown meaning, and kami, which is hair. That kanji of kami means hair? I didn't know that. Okay. Huh. In the poem... Oh, that's really weird. Okay. In the poem, it referred to an old woman's white hair. So tsukumo has been interpreted as meaning old, often metaphorically represented as 99 years. The element kami, or hair, is a homophone of kami. This kanji means spirit. Okay. I didn't know that there was another kanji for kami that just meant hair. Okay. So would it be a kami, a spirit of hair? Okay. But both may be pronounced gami in compound words. Thus, the word oh my goodness, why can't I say it? Tsukumogami has come to mean a 99-year spirit. The kanji representation for tsukumogami in this sense dates to a tempo period. Okay, we don't care about the tempo period, really. But, let's see. According to this, emaki, what is, oh my goodness, there's so many vocab here. Okay, so emakimono, or emaki, is an illustrated horizontal narration system of painted hand scrolls that date back to the Nara period in Japan. Okay. Oh. So could this possibly explain what these scrolls are too? Maybe we'll circle back around to this one. Okay. So according to this emaki, a tool, after the passage of 100 years, would develop a spirit, or a kami, and with this change would become a tsukumogami. This emaki has a caption stating that the word tsukumo could also be written with a kanji meaning 99. Okay. Which refers to the 99 years. Okay, outside of these uses, the word tsukumogami is not attested in the surviving literature of the time, and so the historical usage of the term itself has not been handed down in detail. The concept, however, does appear elsewhere. In collections such as the late Heian period, there are tales of objects having spirits in the oh my god, I can't read today. Emakimono Bakemono Zoshi. There are tales of a choshi, a sake serving pot, a scarecrow, and other inanimate objects turning into monsters, but the word tsukumogami itself does not appear. So very interesting that they even mentioned this choshi, which is the sake serving pot, because we have the tea serving pot that is charming. This is really cool information to me. I don't know about you guys, but I like it a lot. Okay. So, we didn't read that. Okay. So, the Tsukumogami Emaki describes how an object would become occupied by a spirit after 100 years. So, people would throw out old objects before they became 100 years old, which was called the Susu Horai. By doing this, they prevented objects from becoming Tsukumogami, but according to the captions of the Emaki, it's written that ones that are a year from 100, in other words, objects that are Tsukumo, or 99 years old, would become angered and become a yokai by some means other than the mere passage of time, and then cause a ruckus. I really, really like this, you guys, because this actually gives us more context. You know, headcanon context can't be confirmed, of course, until it's stated within the series. But if this is what the deal is, imagine that all of these magic stones, Asta's swords, are things that were thrown out of Hino country before they turned 100 years old and gained sentience, so that they wouldn't end up wreaking a havoc on their own country. And then we get things like devils, Asta's swords, the magic stones, stuff like that. I think that's really cool. And would explain why those spirits never came to into the form of any type of being. So they continue. In the first place, the idea of becoming yokai at 100 or 99 years old does not need to be taken literally. Those numbers can represent the idea that humans, plants, animals, or even tools would acquire a spiritual nature once they become significantly old and thereby gain the power to change themselves. Writing Tsukumo as 99 is not simply referring to a number, since the word was used since old times to loosely mean many. The yokai that are depicted are not ones that gain the power to change themselves as a result of being used for a long time, but rather ones that were thrown away right before it becoming yokai through some different means. Here they talk about paintings. I don't think we'll read anything about the paintings. I'll skim it really fast. But it doesn't seem... Okay. We might read this little first part. Really quick. So in the Tsukumogami Emaki, which depicted Oh my goodness, take a shot every time I say Tsukumogami, and then take another shot for every time I mess it up. R.I.P. It is written at the very beginning. It's told in the Onmyozaki, a tool after 100 years pass would change and acquire a spirit and deceive people's hearts, and it's said that these are referred to as tsukumogami, thus referring to changes or mutations of tools as tsukumogami. However, no book called the Onmyozaki has actually been confirmed to exist. Really funny that stuff like this happens. Side note, just stuff like this happens where they have like a name and and of like a text, an ancient text, and they have some of the things that were inside of this text, and then it says it's never actually been confirmed to exist. So funny, you don't pull those things out of thin air though. So that still holds a bit of water, but of course you don't have the physical evidence for that stuff. In the Amaki, it's written that they can take the appearance of people, male and female, old and young, the likeness of Chimi Aki, which is the appearance of Oni, and the shape of Koro Yakan, the appearance of animals, among others. Its form after its change or mutation is referred to words such as Yobutsu. Okay, so I think that was really like the other thing. So this is talking about the tools specifically, I guess. In works about tools having a human personality, tools such as Chodo Uta Awase, that would perform Uta Awase, I'm assuming that's got to be purification. What is this? Oh, this is more... Oh, that's... This specifically is just more poetry. Poetry contests? Okay. So these can be found before the Muromachi period, and it is thought that these are close in concept to being the idea of things that tools turn into, as depicted in Tsukogami Amaki. Understood by many Western scholars, tsukumogami was a concept popular in Japanese folklore as far back as the 10th century. God damn. Used in the spread of Shingon Buddhism. Ooh, we might have to look at this. But yeah. So for the person that was asking about the things that are behind those people, and like Luck and even Asta, I guess we could relate that to like the Dharma wheel that we see right here. But yeah. Shingon is one of the major schools of Buddhism in Japan and one of the few surviving Vajrayana. I've never heard of that. Lineages in East Asia, originally spread from India to China through traveling monks. Okay. Interesting. Oh, they mentioned an animated tea caddy? Bro, if this isn't the source, you guys, hold up. Oh, dude, I got a super chat. John. Thank you, by the way. I think you are my first super chat. Yo, go John. Okay. Do you feel that King Minos from Dante's Inferno and King Enma have a link potentially in the story? Do you feel Ryu having no Hino country magic can be linked to an Odin-like sacrifice? Also, hi, Coach. I definitely do like the idea of this Odin-like sacrifice. That was something Chimochi told me about, or posted about, and I thought that was super dope and a really good potential for the story, since we do have a lot of Norse background in this that can't be forgotten. So I'm wondering what Tabata is going to do with it, but I don't know. Him having no magic or no Yoryoku. I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to wrap my brain around it. I'm wanting it to be something. I want it to be more of a lie. And by lie, I don't mean it has to necessarily be malicious. But if you guys saw that post I made about Bleach and comparing it to Black Clover, in the moment where Ichigo comes back from the Don guy, his power is read as like he doesn't have any, and it's also extremely vast. So this is part of that whole spiel that I've been going on for these streams about this the sword of Zen, or the Enso circle. So that emptiness is actually all the power that, like, in the world, at his disposal in a very small instant of time. And remember that each go ultimately ends up losing that power after one use. And that was, it's going to sound so like crazy and stupid, but it's something you really got to think about and literally meditate on. Within nothing is everything in existence. There's more of nothingness than there will ever be of somethingness. And that is something that needs to be realized by the person reaching this enlightened state. So, hopefully that kind of answers your question. I think it's just his power might not be able to be easily comprehended by the people of Hino country. I don't remember King Minos and Dante's Inferno though, so I might have to look that up at some point during the stream or later. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Okay, let's see. Kino, that moment is fire. Are you talking about the Veta moment? Or something else? Lazy, are you Japanese by chance? The pronunciation is subtly different, though. For God, there's an emphasis on ka in me, and for hair, it's pronounced ka mi. Okay. That's something I didn't know. Thanks for that. Helix, I'm just assuming a big plot revolved around Lucius and Julius playing a time travel chess game is happening. Each one is articulating the desired timeline by placing and moving characters around ideally. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. That's something I think like Broku was onto a long time ago. Again, there's some theories where like I'm not necessarily against or for it, but just again, I just don't deal with the time travel stuff because again, that can get really, really bad if it's not done correctly. And I think Tabata has more than enough room to leave it out. Maybe like one or two instances of importance would be really cool. But he could also get by with not doing any time travel at all. But we'll see. Isn't the tea caddy thing just Sukaku to me? Limbo judged the damned to a layer of hell. Oh, the Veta moment. Okay. Get some people on Twitter talking about Ryu framing Yami. Yeah, dude, he absolutely did frame Yami. That's what I'm thinking right now. That's the big thing. So, yeah, I think Yami. I think there's more evidence for Yami being framed than it actually have been Yami, and it looks like it could have been Ryu. Again, with that whole key being similar thing, people not even knowing that he was the Shogun, or not even having like. No one being happy that he's there. It's just crazy. So it just looks really sus on Ryu's part. Let's read this last section about the Japanese folklore real quick, though. According to Ellison and Smith, Tsukumogami was the name of an animated tea caddy. Oh. So this is like Charmy's thing right here. So this is something that Matsunaga Hisahide used to bargain for peace with Oda Nobunaga. Like many concepts in Japanese folklore, there are several layers of definition used when discussing tsukumogami. For example, by the 10th century, the tsukumogami myths were used in helping to spread the doctrines of Shingon esoteric Buddhism to a variety of audiences ranging from the educated to the relatively unsophisticated by capitalizing upon pre-existing spiritual beliefs in tsukumogami. These pre-existing spiritual beliefs were as Ryder explains here. So Ryder says, tsukumogami, dude, if you are actually taking shots every time I say tsukumogami, good lord, you are legitimately going to die. Tsukumogami. Okay, if you weren't dead before, you're dead now. Are animate household objects. In Otogizoshi, a companion tale titled Tsukumogami Ki, or Record of Tuolkami, explains that after a service life of nearly 100 years, oh my goodness, Utsuwamono, or kibutsu, or containers, tools, and instruments, receive souls. While many references are made to this work as a major source of the definition of tsukumogami, insufficient attention has been paid to the actual text of Tsukumogami Key. I wonder if I can find that book then. By the 20th century, the Tsukumogami had entered... Jesus, it was just everywhere. Had entered into Japanese pop culture to such an extent that the Buddhist teachings had been completely lost to most outsiders. Oh, that could also explain why people might not take to foreigners as well either. If the teachings of Buddha have been lost completely to outsiders. So this would be leaving critics to comment that by and large the Tsukumogami were harmless and at most tended to play occasional pranks. Talk about an occasional prank, killing somebody's whole family, you know? They did have the capacity for anger and would band together to take revenge upon those who were wasteful or threw them away thoughtlessly. What are matainai? We'll look that up real quick. To prevent this, to this day, some jinja ceremonies are performed to console broken and unusable items. Okay, what is matainai? I've never heard of that. So, motainai is a term of Japanese origin that has been used by environmentalists. The term in Japanese conveys a sense of regret over waste. The explanation motainai can translate as, what a waste. Okay. It's not as cool as I thought it was going to be. But here's a whole list of tsukumogami. Okay. Let's see if anything sticks out. We got ungaikyo. We already got that. Ooh, possessed clock? But there's no information on this. We'll try looking that one up. A possessed tea kettle. Okay. What else do we have? A spiritual creature formed out of 66 masks. We have one guy with a mask. Ooh, and it kind of looks like that too. Okay. Maybe we'll look at that. Tsukumogami of shoes? They got it for everything. Okay. Straw sandals. Think of possessed straw sandals, you guys. A possessed futon? They got everything. Animated prayer beads. A roll of cotton? No, we gotta look that one up. Because we got the whole charmy stuff in here too. Yeah, this is gonna be the first one. Okay. So the Itan Momen, or one bolt of cotton, are a yokai told about Koyama. They are also called Itan Monme or Itan Monmen. Okay, let's see. Ooh, look at that. That's what they look like. Looks like Charmy to me. Just kidding. Just curious to see if there's any connection, you know? A lot of theory making is just trial and error, so we'll take a look. According to Osumi Kimotsukigun Hogen Shu, I'm never going to say that again. Jointly authored by the locally born educator Nomura Denshi and the folklorist Kunio Yanagita. At evening time, a cloth-like object about 1 tan, so that's a measurement. Okay, 35 feet in length and 30 or a foot in width. Okay, that's crazy. Would flutter around attacking people. Dude, imagine getting attacked by cloth and dying from it. Couldn't be me. They are said to wrap around people's necks and cover people's faces and suffocate people to death. And in other tales, it is said that wrapped claws would spin around and around quickly and quickly come flying, wrap around people's bodies and take them away into the skies. Yeah, that's a little creepy though. There's a story where one man hurrying to his home at night when a white cloth came wrapped around his neck, and when he cut it with his wakizashi, which is a short sword, the cloth disappeared, and remaining on his hands was some blood. In regions where they are said to appear and disappear, there seemed to be custom where children were warned that if they played too late, that Itan Momen would come. Okay. This really doesn't really have anything to do with Charlie, so they got recent sightings in here, dude. If you guys go to Japan, you guys better watch out for this Itan yo whatever this is called, Momen. Itan Momen. You might get choked up by a piece of cloth. God damn. True identity. Okay, I'm interested about this though. Itan Momen are thought to appear in the evening, but the general view is that because in the past parents needed to do farm work for the entire day, including at this time, and therefore could not be an eye on their children, or cannot keep an eye on their children. So the tales, okay. So it was just like an anecdote to make sure their kids came in when it was, before it got too late. So that makes sense. Okay. Oh, they talk about the television show. Okay. So it's not really like crazy. Let's see. There was some other stuff in here though. Possessed mirror. I really like the Sungaikyo thing. Because I do think Ryu's eye could be like Gauch's eye. Because there's a lot in this series, guys, that needs explanation that has not got the explanation so far. So Tabata's really going to have to start giving us answers on a more regular basis now that this is the last saga. So, let's go through your comments again. Okay, lazy. Oh, you took a couple Japanese classes in college. I did too. I might actually go back. If Latin's not available next semester, I'm probably doing Japanese again. Because it's been rusty, and I did not think at the time that I would need it for anything. So that's cool though. That's really cool. Kanji really beat my ass though. So, what was suspect? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with this while also like read these articles to you guys. What was sus? And then John, who unlike Rax and Quan are power? Should we even talk about Ichika and this whole Lucifero thing right now? It's one of the more nonsensical things that I've seen from like random people. I haven't gotten the chance to watch Broku's thing about it. And he's the only person I trust with like power scaling, to be honest. But every time I hear tsukumogami, I think infinite. Ooh, yeah, infinite tsukuyomi. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, killing a whole family is the craziest prank. Yeah, it's definitely, if you're in a prank war, that you win. You definitely win. That happened in South Park actually. He was trying to get back at his Cartman, if you guys know the show, was trying to get back at his bully, and he entered them both into a chili eating contest, and whoever won would have to, like, I guess, cease and desist from the whole pranking thing, right, or bullying. So the kid's name was Scott Tenorman. If Scott Tenorman won the chili eating contest, he would keep bullying Cartman. If Cartman won, he would have to stop bullying Cartman. So Cartman, being a maniacal just person, a kid, killed his mom and dad and put them inside of the chili. So when they were doing the chili taste test in front of a whole crowd of people, he told them that he was eating his parents, and he asked them how good the chili was. It was the most ridiculous thing. But yeah, really good prank. So, John, couldn't these objects just be a confusion for Tanuki or Kitsune, who can transform into many things? So that was actually one of the things I wanted to look up on the stream, John, was Kitsune. Because I was a huge fan of Teen Wolf, and I know very little about Kitsune. But I know that they are trickster spirits. So we can probably look that up next to see what's going on. There was also a couple of other tabs on that ryuo article that I wanted to look at as well, just to see if there was any more breadcrumbs to as far as answers to who Ryu could be, what he is, and all that stuff. Lazy, see you later. Thanks for coming in. John, I feel her binding magic has more to do with the cotton cord in Norse than... Oh yeah, absolutely does. Because that's the only thing that binded Fenrir, was the cotton that was the cotton chain that was made by the dwarves. But yeah, it definitely does. But that's also kind of the point of, like, they even mention it in the, I think it was the Ungaikyo, or earlier in the Tsukumogami article here, where they talk about syncretism. Syncretism is a huge thing, especially, that's something that I've been really focusing on all these streams and these past videos, where even though these, like, especially for Asian cultures, how it's so artistic and very unique on their takes, is actually more or less the same of everything else on this planet and all the things I've been talking about. Just for an example, they have the taiji, or the taijito, depends on what you look at. So this is the condensed form, and of course, what do you think of here? Wow, Tinder Hot XYZ is the best adult dating site, guys. Just remember that. Big shout out. Thanks, Kino. Jesus. So anyway, so the taiji, this is actually the yin and yang symbol, is actually a very condensed form of what is the Chinese tree of life. And it's just super cool that it ends up this way. So I might have to actually type in taijito for it to show. Is it taijito or taijitu? Am I getting it just wrong? Let me put in taiji and wuji, because that's what yin and yang is. Taiji and wuji. Okay. So these are the different aspects of it. Won't get into that, because that gets really convoluted. But, oh, this is a really cool depiction of it. It's about the same. So this is their tree of life. Even has the same number of corresponding spheres. There's one I'd like to look at, though. I probably won't be able to find now. I'm looking. Oh, there we go. So yeah, this is exactly what you see. This is Chinese culture, guys. And this was essentially their tree of life. Now, if we look at, is it the Agdoad? It's framed as more of a pillar. However, you'll get the idea once you see it. It's also been in other videos too. I don't want I want these. Maybe I have to do Agduat and Monad. Well, there we go. For whatever reason, I can't find it. But, interestingly enough, you have the Rosicrucian Tree of Life, which is way more detailed. And the only reason for that is because they like to break things down to a science. So, that mostly just comes from the elements, which are up here. And you break them down into so many different ways. Very cool. I talk about it in a very early video on this channel. But also, of course, looks like the tree that we've been observing this whole time. This is the most accurate tree that we can possibly get, by the way. Is this one. And I tried putting it in a video, and it looks just as bad as this. But all this means is that there's only one God, and he's both good and evil. So, there's that stuff. And this also frames that God is both within and without. Crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. Okay. John, are you asking if that tree I just showed you was Korean? It is not. However, their systems are very similar, even when it comes down to writing. So, they could very well use that. Remembering from Jackie Chan Adventures, That show slept on, man. These guys aren't old enough. I'm telling you. Those were the days. Talismans, the rooster talisman. That's my zodiac sign. Best one. Best one. Super speed. I don't know. Wait, that wasn't super speed. What was the rooster? Hold on. Rooster talisman. Sorry, sidetrack. Wasn't it like invisibility? No, that was a snake. What did the rooster do? It was the... I guess images wouldn't show me what it does. I should just look at what it does. And not be stupid. Okay. What? Sorry, I'm never gonna... Oh, it's levitation. It was levitation. Oh, it was not the best one. I take that back. That's whack. But flying's cool. I definitely always wanted the rabbit talisman. That was the super speed one. That was definitely the best one. Let's see. What do you guys think? Oh, the yin and yang thing. So there are different variations of it. That's what I was saying. So that tree that I showed you, the Taijito or Taijito, whatever they called it, was the original form, and then they condensed it, and that became the yin and yang symbol. And that variation where it looks like two koi fish without the black and white dots were also a variant of it. So there's that. Okay, let's look at these Ryu really quick. I wanted to look at Zenyo Ryuo, just because it has the word Zen in it, and we do have the Ryu Zen. Oh, this is the Dragon Queen, though. Ooh. Ooh. Should we read about the Dragon Queen? Or should we do it when it's more relevant? Because that would be cool. If there was, like, someone alongside of Ryu that was a girl. That's not Ichika. Okay, what about Kuzuryu? The many-headed dragon, okay. Interesting. Okay. This one probably doesn't have much to do with anything that we're talking about. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So let's look up the Kitsune for now. "13 kinds of Kitsune? That's not real. 13? Oh my goodness. Okay, so Kitsune are foxes that possess paranormal abilities that increase as they get older and wiser. According to yokai folklore, all foxes have the ability to shapeshift into human form, while some folktales speak of Kitsune employing this ability to trick others. As foxes in folklore often do, other stories portray them as faithful guardians, friends, and lovers. Foxes and humans live close together in ancient Japan. This companionship gave rise to legends about the creatures. Kitsune have become closely associated with Inari, a Shinto kami or spirit, and served as its messengers. Wow, that is actually really cool. This role has reinforced the fox's supernatural significance. The more tails a Kitsune has, they may have as many as 9, hashtag Naruto, the older, wiser, and more powerful it is. Because of their potential power and influence, some people make sacrifices to them as a deity. Conversely, foxes were often seen as witch animals, especially during the Edo period, and were thought of as goblins who could not be trusted, similar to some badgers and cats. So I really like that they use the Kitsune as more messengers of a more divine being or kami. Very interesting. What's an Inari, though? So it's the Japanese kami of foxes, fertility, rice, tea, sake, and of agriculture and industry. Okay, that's interesting. There's also something else I needed to look up that preyed on dragons, because I've never heard of anything preying on a dragon. Okay. I won't look at the origins per se. It doesn't look like it's really that interesting. It's more of like a history lesson of foxes in Japan. This is the etymology. Okay. I mean, you don't really need to know the etymology of kitsune right now. The Zenko are good foxes, okay. And then there are Yako, which are field foxes. The no kitsune, which is in Teen Wolf, that's what he had. The Yako, the no kitsune, the mischievous or even malicious spirit. It'd be cool if he was like, Ryu was a kitsune, and maybe had a brother who was a no kitsune. That'd be very interesting. So Zenko are benevolent celestial foxes associated with Inari. They are sometimes simply called Inari foxes in English. Then you have the Yako, the no kitsune, that tend to be more mischievous or malicious. There are invisible fox spirits that human beings can only perceive when it possesses them. Okay. Whoa. Oh, okay. That's real foxes. After reaching 1,000 years of age and gaining its 9th tail, a kitsune turns a white or golden color, becoming a tenko, which is the heavenly celestial fox, the most powerful form of a kitsune, and then ascends to the heavens. Yeah, I don't know. It would seem like a lot for Tabata to put in here now. Like, oh yeah, this guy's a kitsune, and we never really heard of a kitsune. But we are in a totally different place, so new lore could be a whole thing. I just think as of right now, this might not mean too much, but definitely fun to look at. Sorry, let me go back, because I wanted to see what preys on things. Anton, what did you want me to read, dude? Sorry, I didn't see your comment. John, you don't have to give me money, dude. There's not that many people. I'll read your comment regardless. But thank you. We now have dragons, so Rax can stop complaining. Dude, I hope these dragons are all just, like, not dragons. I don't know what that means, but we don't need Rax. I need Rax to keep complaining. That's what I need. We don't need a happy Rax. Tiger versus Dragon is what you know, like Toradora. Dude, I forgot Kurama was dead, to be honest. That's still really sad. It was like a staple of my childhood. Okay. Something about preying on dragons. Was it on this one, or was it... Okay. So this is preyed up on by Karuda. Karuda. Okay. What are the Karuda? Oh, here we go. Oh, that's a fancy looking bird there. Angry. Okay. So the Karuda is a divine creature with a human torso and a bird-like head. The name is a transliteration of Garuda. Ooh, that's a dragon in a game that I used to play. You guys, a little known fact about your good old pal Jack is that I used to be so good at this game called War Dragons that they were willing to sponsor me and they sent me free stuff all the time. And then I stopped playing because it was super time consuming. But Garuda was one of the dragons. It's like one of the first dragons that you get, though. But really cool game. I might download it again. Start wrecking people's bases all over again. The same creature may go by the name Konjicho, gold-winged bird. The Garuda is said to be enormous, fire-breathing, and to feed on dragons and serpents. Just as Garuda is the bane of Nagas, only a dragon who possesses a Buddhist talisman or one who is converted to the Buddhist teaching can escape unharmed from the Garuda. Interesting. So, basically what it's saying that the only dragons that the Garuda would prey upon are the ones that did not find enlightenment, and I guess were more malicious. Interesting. Garuda is one of the... What is that word? We're just learning a whole lot of things tonight, you guys. Okay. So, proselytism is the policy of attempting to convert people's religious or political beliefs. Okay. Interesting. So, Karuta is one of the proselytized and converted creatures recruited to form a guardian unit called the Achibushu, the devas of the 8 classes. One famous example is the Karuta statue Kofukuji Nara. Amongst the 8 deva statues presented at the... Wait. Hold on. Because this might become a Kaiju number 8 theory right here, you guys. Just saying. Okay. I'll look at that later. Interesting. Okay. Not much on them, but very interesting to know that there were things that preyed upon dragons. So that's very cool. Okay. I mean, to be honest, that's really all I had for you guys. Like, this could potentially explain what Ryu is, what possibly happened with Yami, and could explain things like his swords, the magic stones, the eye that Gauche has, the eye that Ryu probably has, and this cloudy... I don't know. That was just the biggest thing. The fact that Asta sees clouds in what is supposed to be the land of the sun tells me that that's a pretty big detail that shouldn't be missed. So, hopefully these the official chapters for Viz don't completely go off script and it says nothing about clouds, because this would have been for nothing. But very interesting nonetheless. I do think this Ryuo thing is really cool, and I think this is more so one of the more solid answers that we do definitely have tonight. So I would suggest maybe, if you missed some of this, take a look back in the beginning. We kind of did a bit of a speed run. I'm going to keep looking into this to see what else I can dig up. I already saw that there's a few books that I can probably try finding to be able to get us some more information here. But you guys will know when I do, because then I'll post it on Twitter. So be on the lookout. But I think I'll stop it here. I don't want the stream to be super, super long. It's already, I think we're hitting like the 2-hour mark anyway. So I'm going to end it here. I will more than likely see you guys on Friday for the unofficial translations. And then some point during the weekend, if not Saturday, it will be on Sunday. If not, both as well, depending on what the unofficial translations look like. But anyway, thank you guys. Big shout out to John. Thank you for my first super chats. Really awesome. But this has been Jack Oates to go, guys. You either know or you don't.